We're talking with GabrielFlacks, who is a humanities teacher and department head at Champlain College, Saint-Lambert, Montreal, who uh, teaches blogging in a globally networked way through a platform called News Activist. So, can you just tell us about how this grew out of your teaching and then tell us a little bit more about the platform and what that entails?
Sure. So I guess I'll start with the curriculum I was trying to introduce into my college, which started as an extracurricular group. I wanted students to be writing about the news and over the course of a period of time, entering some kind of volunteer project which would take a passion that they've grown to know more about over their writing. And then by the end of a semester or a year, do some work to try and affect the work that they've been writing about. So this began as a bit of an extracurricular group that was just tried on my own while I was teaching my classes. That curriculum led to wanting to have my students, while writing, be writing with students in other parts of the world, because students are passionate in this day and age about things happening not just locally but globally, and that might be something that could have sparked more possibilities for the students in their writing and the way they might create a project. Within a year or two, this curriculum idea of an extracurricular group became a curriculum, and I was able to get a course at my college which had more students. And suffice it to say, the extracurricular group went very well. More students wanted to do this. I had a great time. It was a lot of work, a lot of writing, but really satisfying. And by 2012, I had a curriculum on the books that I was able to teach and have students do this kind of work in this networked writing over the course of a semester with material attached to it. I had a collaborative teaching partner in New York, a sociology professor. I teach in a college that's grade 12 and 13. He was teaching a university first-year sociology course, and we wanted our students to be doing some different material, but students teaching students, writing together, and with 130 students there and 140 students over here, it became very hard to manage, and so some of the pedagogy we wanted to embark on, it didn't get to materialize. The summer after that, I was able, with the help of my college, to build a platform that would support this kind of multi-person networked writing and collaborating. And so in the fall of 2013, I believe, I was able to do this for the first time with the platform. As soon as it went online, other teachers started coming around this. And so what had started as a very small group of 7 students, we now have about 5,000 students at 40 institutions, all networked together. That's not all at one time. Some semesters it'll be one class, some another, but teachers and students from around the world able to do different curricula, but have some kind of interactivity woven within it.
Well, how do you handle and what are the advantages of having that many people in an active network?
Well, the students handle it in terms of most of the classes, if not all of them, run in a very the students are fulfilling certain assignments. In part, these assignments might allow them to go find material to comment on. And within those comments to fulfill certain requirements, but it opens up possibilities for the student with that many pieces of writing happening in different places. With an assignment that's open-ended enough to go seek and find something that interests you, and then teach that student something from the course in a unique way. It gives a lot more freedom to the student in writing about both the course material, but also whatever matters to that student. So this has been a sort of, I couldn't have hoped for it to work this way, because when it started with me and one teacher in one class, we had very tightly connected assignments. But as it's grown into a larger network, I can open it up to my students to go find something from any class this week, anywhere that's taking place, and do assignment X.
So it sounds to me like there's the civic side of journalism is what you're approaching here, rather than the production side of journalism. They're writing about the news. Is that a fair characterization?
It depends on the course in some ways. So when I teach courses that are heavily skewed academically, an ethics course where the writing is key. So the sort of what's most exciting as a teacher is students really show up for the academic work when it's open in this way, and the writing gets improved in an authentic way because students write a lot. And they care about what they're writing about. I mean, it's meaningful to them, so then the writing is better. Every teacher that uses it finds there's these soft teaching moments that come around. If you title your post assignment 1, no one will read it. So very quickly, and if you misspell a word in the first sentence, people aren't going to take your ideas quite as seriously. So within 2 weeks, usually, or two assignments that are submitted here, it becomes very natural that students write better, and you can teach these skills in a real meaningful way. And it's not just for me. You can have an audience here, and they're going to take you seriously or not, depending on how the writing is. So it gets very easy to talk to punctuation and these little details when it has an outlet that reaches people. For me as a teacher, the civic part, as I say, it depends if the course is my complementary course where they all do volunteer work. Absolutely, and that's where this came from in part. But it's entered my critical thinking course, which I didn't know I'd be using the site for other curriculum. But because just writing in this environment, gives a certain spin on things and engagement for the students, that one is less about civic and more about doing the editorial work, looking at a piece of writing, finding a fallacy and describing it. And it becomes a part of that course and more about the writing and less about the civics. And then students take things in the ways they choose to take them as well.
Well, what kind of prompts have you found to be successful?
Well, I think the best case scenario is always when there's a class that the student is partnering with, that they can expect some feedback quickly from the other class. So I have a wonderful collaborative partner named Saur Worichin, who teaches at a college which isn't far away from mine. But we've had a good time watching students when they know that class over there is going to be assigned to comment on your work tomorrow at 9 a.m. So the assignment's due at 10 p.m. tonight or whatever it is. And I know what her assignment is, so I can have my students tease out ways that those students could have improved their work if they took something into account. So prompts that first ask for a student to always say something positive about what they're writing, what the person they're engaging with, why they chose to write about this. That's not a negative point. There's got to be a reason beyond that. So what was something interesting is always a way my the feedback assignments are prompted to first say something positive and then either share some idea that would enhance their understanding, lead them to a source, explain why that source could broaden what their understanding is of the issue, or a way that they could improve their original piece from rhetoric to whatever is the student's read on that. And as long as the prompts have that kind of open-endedness where they're teaching each other or coming up with ideas or applying the content, it tends to be successful. If it's too open-ended, which I actually don't want to say much more about how it doesn't work, because I've seen genetics courses and teachers using this site, and I sometimes want to ask them, how are you so successful with the prompts you give? Because it tends to be very much about the class and the teacher, how the right prompt could come to be. But expecting feedback, that seems to be what students love. Assignments, they go look anywhere, you choose what you're writing about, and then write a comment on that. Or having the ability to write using some sources that are original and you're applying this course content to in a way that no one's ever heard of. Do something unique. Those tend to be the most successful. And it becomes dry if it's too restrictive.
How do teachers and students join the network?
They go to newsactivist.com and they click register, and they select if they're a teacher. And then there's a drop-down menu of institutions, and if the institution isn't there, they add a new institution. Right now, this is probably the most exposure the site will ever have gotten, because there's very little that has been done other than word of mouth to get people into the network. But I get an email. It says a new teacher is registered. It's Howard Reingold, and I approve. And then the teacher has the power to approve students into his or her own class. So then the student is told in class, go to News Activist, click register, and select Civics 2011, whatever the course title is. and the student then is approved by the teacher into the class. So the teacher then manages that class within the larger network, and if someone tries to join that class and it's a spammer, the teacher can kick that person out. So there's a lot of sort of everybody minding their own little area, and there has never been any problems in terms of we've over the last 3 years. It's been really fun for me to learn how to keep the technicality of spammers, and so now it's there's captchas and ways to make sure once people are in there, the network runs itself, it minds itself. It's pretty fun.
So I've joined the network. My class has joined the network. How do we find partners in that network to collaborate with?
There's a tab that says for teachers, and it's a sort of set of forums. One of the forums is the collaboration planning forum, and it's sort of a classified ad. So someone's just put up there something for fall of next year. A geography teacher saying, I'm looking for something on someone to collaborate with around issue this and this. And then we wait and see. The network is small enough that I do a lot of matchmaking because I happen to know through the just getting to see who's coming in and asking where you're coming from. Some of that happens naturally right now, but the hope is that kind of forum will just be full of teachers saying, this semester I want to work on this book. Anyone doing that, or these kinds of things will happen up there. But we'll see how it works in the coming semesters. That's how it's been so far. A little bit of handholding where I like to do this stuff. It's fun for me, as you can see. And then the more it becomes just teachers finding each other, that'll be fun for me to sit and watch happen too, and sort of have my students sometimes go add a comment over in this class when you can see what another teacher is doing. You say, okay, next week I want you guys to go over there and comment on all the students' work. And they'll go, oh my gosh, a student's commenting from Montreal. They must really like what I'm doing. This must have legs. So you can also see what other people are doing over in that collaboration planning forum. And even if you don't have an active partner, weave it into the pedagogy however it suits the teacher.
Wonderful. Well, we'll have to check in after the article and the video is published and see what comes of that. Thanks very much.
Absolutely, and thanks for having me. It's an honor, really.